Hello YouTube, Ronin Kaze, Super Mutant. Happy New Year, everyone. Day 2. How many days can we say Happy New Year before it's over? I'm in Fallout 76 in a different area. I think it's Charleston. One of the things I did off camera is I replaced my, repaired my pistol that I love. And now I'm just using a combat knife. I made this character just to do melee only. That's why she's dressed so funky, has melee enabled gear. So I'm going to fight. Hey, if you could like, subscribe, share, unsubscribe, resubscribe, buy me a cup of coffee, I'd appreciate it. So I'm knifing these super mutants. Let's talk about super mutants in real life. That's the folks that are pro Windows, pro Linux. So today I sampled a ton of pro Linux 2026 videos. 2 of them pause. So of course, politically, there's a bunch of stuff going on, and the sub-characters that talk about the main characters say stuff, and then sub-characters react to that sub-character's reaction videos to what's going on. And I was listening to something today how they were talking about a lot of this is paid. They put bounties out, and they'll have bounty of $50,000 for every 100,000 clicks you get, like $10 or something like that. And they'll keep posting videos until the bounty's used up. And I'd like to think that some of the Linux videos I saw today were kind of like that. They were about, I've loved nothing against Linux, Mint Linux. There's nothing wrong with it. But 2 videos, completely different people, almost said the same thing. It's as if one of them copied the script of the other one. Very minor changes. Problem with scripts, right? That's the problem. Now, in my mind, I think that they're recording this, but they're probably just having an AI voice do the script also. So they probably don't do crap. Right? So they copy the text and then they just feed it through the thing and do it. I would like to think that they at least took the time to say the words themselves, YouTube, but they don't. What did I take exception to the Linux Mint? Well, it's another generic Linux video. In games, well, sometimes I play games with DRM on them, and it works pretty good. Now, there's some games, first-person shooters, where every millisecond matters. And when you look at the benchmarks for those games, Windows has an edge. If I was a competitive pro player, I would have to run on Windows. I'd want to optimize version Windows, and I'm sure it's like NASCAR. They call it stock cars. The garbage men are coming to pick up stuff today. So we have a couple of dog visitors, Macy and Caesar. You may remember them from the past. Anyways, if you hear them, that's the garbage men. Stock cars were supposed to be, they take a car off the showroom and they race it. Well, it's evolved into this thing, and they try to make everything similar and the same so you can do an apples-to-apples comparison. And that's what the problem is. I don't care what distro you use. I just think, here's the complaint about Arch, which Cachy is based off of. It's a rolling release. It's bleeding edge. All it is the people that are updating the software update it, and the rollout is like immediate. So you might have, some days I have no upgrades and updates, and sometimes I have the full thing. I haven't looked what the schedule is. The problem with Fedora, and so there is a gentleman that had a great video on, he compares Linux distros to Windows. And now he did a series where he's comparing to older graphics cards. I think I already smoked a couple Super Mutants, and now I'm looking for more. And what he found is sometimes Fedora just wouldn't even work. And he liked Fedora. That was his preferred one to use. It wasn't using Fedora. He was using Nobara, which is based on Fedora. The thing I like about Cachy is that it works and it's always up to date. You ever logged into Windows and Steam has to update? That doesn't happen, because if I update every single time, everything's updated all at once. System, software, everything. So they use the same tropes about a rolling release, and this release is more stable than the other release. So there's a few of those videos that were just annoying. Then there's a guy who's a proponent for Linux. He's also selling stuff. And he thinks that, he's all about privacy and taking back your privacy, and I agree with a lot of that stuff. But again, it's these weak reasons that Linux people have for switching to Linux, that somehow the operating system... I did a lot of project management. I wasn't a project manager. I just sent to factories to manage projects for the companies I was with. And that's just being organized. When you're making a timeline, I read one book, and it was called Critical Path. Basically, it said, whatever your critical path is, that's how long the minimum your project should be. And what engineers do, they go, well, there was that one time that we had a delay, so let's pad it 2 more weeks, and on and on and on. So that's why you get these really long times to do everything, because you're taking into fact the union, you're taking into fact bad deliveries, bad weather, whatever excuses and reasons you have for delaying a project. So engineers, technical people, don't want to be on the hook for recommending something to you, and then you have a bad experience, and then you're going to blame them. They're not people. They're machine people. The software wasn't bad. You're just a crappy user. What is that? For you who are listening, I'm shaking my head and looking like incredulous, like, why are we blaming the people for this? So this gentleman went on, and his ideas were all meh. Not bad, just meh. At one of these points, I jump to an area, this might be it, and then I see a tripwire, a laser thing with a bomb's going to go off. You'll see me stare at it. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Anyways, and you'll see a lot of Windows videos, how to strip Windows 11 of all this stuff to make it this slimmest. Wasn't meant to be stripped of all that stuff. There's no real reason to switch. If you have Windows 10, you should switch immediately. It's no better than anything than Ubuntu YouTube. This might be where it happens, coming up here. Maybe not. I don't know. You'll see it. There's a little red thing when it happens. So the thing with, then if you have to learn something new, but Windows 11, if you're on Windows 10 and you go to Windows 11, it's different enough that you got to learn new stuff. So this is the thing. If you're a people person, people hate change. They don't want to change. So they don't want to switch to Catchy Linux. They don't want to change to something that's new. It's like some people are Apple people because they don't want to learn Android. Some people are Android people because they don't want to use Apple. Then they'll make up all these reasons why everyone's got to be like them, because they want to feel justified in their decision to do whatever they did. That's horrible reasons for doing something. I have a certain games that I play. They're not the bleeding edge games because I don't need like the newest game to, to hit that, endorphin high of, I just want to do certain things in games, and I play games that are like that. I like the Fallout series because I like the story. I've always liked the Fallout series. Ooh, there's another super mutant. You don't even hear me because I got sneaky armor. Makes me invisible when I'm standing there. And I'm getting them with a knife. They can't hear anything, YouTube. And I just ranked up, I think. My little bonus stuff. So, what's the point, Ronin? You have these super mutants in every category of life. In cooking, in restaurants, in child rearing, in education, in politics, in sports, listen, if anyone knew what they were doing in sports, guess what? They would make tons of money gambling. When you look at the percentage of what's considered a successful gambler. It's very small, over 50%. In terms of 100, I mean, it's like 56 to 57% you're successful. That doesn't seem like you're any better than random. And for those of you that aren't schooled in what random or like coin flips are, like over a long enough period, it ends up being 50%. It's like 50-50, maybe not in a short run, but over like 1,000 flips, and you can do that all the time. You can check that all the time. So there's all these fights to convince you to do what I'm doing. I don't want you to, listen, use whatever software you want to use. The problems that you say for one are usually the problems in the other, right? All software needs to be updated, so it's always going to be an issue. All software is going to go out of date. That's why you have to update it. All software becomes incompatible with certain things, right? Have you ever had, one reason to buy an Apple phone is because people write more programs for them. That's the same reason that some people would choose Windows, because there's more programs. Because I might miss out if I can't have the widest selection. Americans suffer from this the most. I want to have the most choices. What makes me American is my GD choices. But reality is, the cake is a lie. You don't have a lot of choices. So what if the App Store has 300,000 and Android has 200,000? To get to those numbers, you got so much fluff in there that you're never going to use. Those programs are worthless. You load them on your phone, and then you just don't do anything with them. That's what it is, YouTube. So that's why I said, and there was a couple videos when I've seen them, like a month ago, where someone said, you got to do a use case. What am I using my computer for? Not what do I want to use it for? Because if you want to use it for something that you're not doing now, then you can pick any software, because you don't know what you're doing anyways. So you're not going to have any penalty for choosing Linux or choosing Windows or choosing Apple. By the way, YouTube, the same problem Linux has, Macs have. They don't have the software that Windows have. You don't hear people saying that about Macs. Because when you buy a Mac, when you buy Apple, you're buying a status. You're not buying just the tool. You don't want the most freedom you have to do anything. You want to have a status. I have an Air Mac. I have an AirBook. I don't even know what their marketing names are. And we don't have those same complaints about Mac. But really, Mac OS has the same complaints about Linux and Mac OS compared to Windows. And having a Mac, having Linux, having BSD. When's the last time I fired up? I fired up about once a week. My idea was to have Ghost BSD, have a browser where I would have it in a virtual machine and then do BSD, Mystery Security. When I looked up, the 25% of my resources to do that versus almost no resources just to fire up a browser. So I was listening. I think this is where I'm going to fall over this thing right down in there. Come on, look for it. There it is, YouTube. And I was like, what? First I had to steal that stuff, but YouTube, look at that. What am I going to do, YouTube? What am I going to do? Super mutants. So you have super mutants in all part of your life. What drives them to get so big and burly? And you see, I just go up and knife them really easy. Right? They are accentuating one thing. They become champions of one thing and don't take the broad view. I love how people, when I went to college, I went for philosophy because I wasn't looking for a job. I've had every job in the world. And I went for philosophy. I've been VPs of operations. I was in the Coast Guard. I could just do anything. YouTube. I went to college to just be able to fix things, solve things, understand things. I'm not saying philosophy for you. If you're a woodworker and you make furniture, you attack problems and you develop a problem-solving way, and that probably helps you in life. Mechanics, the same thing. Plumbers, the same thing. If you get a business degree and you never do business, like if you don't sell things on eBay or you don't try doing a little micro business, then what are you doing? You just have something on your resume that says, please let me in. I'm paying to win. My parents paid for me to win to get a job. But I'm not going to be happy at the job. I'm not going to know what I'm going to do. I'm a super mutant. I went to Harvard, so you got to go to Harvard. It's the best. I went to community college. It's the best because it didn't cost a lot. I didn't even go to college. I'm just a plumber. I learned everything on YouTube. I didn't even have any job. I live in my parents' basement, and I'm a big proponent of Windows. The list goes on. YouTube. Super mutants all over the place. You see, I took them out. I'm going back to someday I'm going to show you my home. I recorded it and then never showed it to you. But that's where I'm going back to YouTube. I hope you're having a happy new year. I had a great one. And I have dog visitors and granddaughter visitors. So everything's going great. This is Ronin Kaze out.